So today is the third in a series of videos that we're making, and we want to explain to everybody why we all have plastic in us. We have it in our brains, in our bloodstreams, it's in our organs, and it's in our unborn children. And we're filming at Thomas Paine's cottage. Thomas Paine was one of our founding fathers who was very influential in getting us in our revolution to break free from one-man rule, kings and dictators and so forth. And the founding fathers gave us what they call a republic. We're not even a democracy. Essentially, we're a republic, which means we the people govern ourselves. And if the Constitution begins with we the people. And the reason being, to be self-governing, it has to be a document. It can't be majority rule, and that document guides us. And they felt adamantly about that. And even our judicial system, they believe, should be determined by jurors, not one judge. A jury should sit and listen to our arguments and determine what's right and what's wrong. And the law, it should be based on what we the people feel. Well, my lawsuit was kicking around the courts for 20 years, and we never got the jury that our founding fathers wanted us to have. A judge became the dictator, governed by a big corporation that took that power for itself, kept us from being self-governed, and is the reason why we all have plastic in us today, because 30 years ago, nobody knew what we knew because of this lawsuit, that plastic was entering the water and the food chain and getting into us. And what scientists, even to this day, doesn't realize is that plastic, once in the ocean, binds to PCBs, or PCBs bind to it, and it's what's making us sick. It's giving us childhood diabetes, cancer, many of the ailments that, if you followed Kennedy is talking about, that are harming us and making us the sickest generation of people, all because a corporation has assumed the ruling that we the people are supposed to have had in a jury trial, which was robbed from us by this corporation. This river in front of Thomas Paine's cottage is the beginning of our water journey, and it's going to show you how the plastic enters the oceans and becomes part of us. It's all in my book, and I like to show you my book. It's called The Evolution of Pollution. You could get it on Amazon. It's the 4th revision. And this book is a history of my family coming to this country over 100 years ago, and how they started businesses and grew their businesses, and how my fathers and uncles fought in World War II to protect those rights that our forefathers gave us, and how they were murdered by this corporation who took those rights from us. And I would like you to look at this book and buy this book to read the whole story about it and the lawsuit and why there's plastic, toxic plastic in all of us. You see those pipes going across it? So those are sewer lines from these houses. And they run the pipes through the river across into what they call a sewer system, which is supposed to be a separate system from the stormwater system.
Most supposed to is
the
key phrase.
That's the key phrase.
Yes,
Look at this golf ball. So you could imagine sometimes the water may get up over the banks of this river. And that's probably where the golf ball came from, because there's a golf course down the road.
Yeah, here.
So Congress realized that corporations wielded a lot of power and that there was a lot of corruption. And clean air and clean water were absolutely critical for the health and well-being of our people and planet. So what they did, they empowered average citizens, we the people, to sue big corporations, and they felt the government itself couldn't hold these corporations accountable because of the political contributions that they make. So it empowered people like myself or any average citizen to sue these big corporations, and it gave us tremendous power, like an attorney general, to bring these cases into federal court, which I did. And for 20 years, it went through the federal system, and we didn't get the jury that we were entitled to. The corporation dragged it on so long and had so many bogus summary judgments that the case was blocked from ever going to trial. And consequently now, as a result, we all have toxic plastic in our systems. So the egret was apparently trying to catch some fish, but he may have also gotten some of this plastic in him. And this is just the beginning of the culvert where the river by Thomas Paine's cottage goes under the city of New Rochelle. So if you pan up, you see the culvert, and beyond the culvert is the city of New Rochelle. And we're going to film the city of New Rochelle that's built on top of this river. All right, I'll have the. So by the time this river ultimately gets to my marina, where it empties out, there'll be an unbelievable amount of garbage. Every mile of this roadway will have at least 20 big plastic bags of garbage. So the marina may be 6 or 7 miles from here, times 20. That's the amount of plastic bags full of garbage that will enter this river by the time it empties at my marina and into Long Island Sound. And this is the clean area. We haven't got to the dirty area yet. So that river is all underneath these streets now, covered by the city of New Rochelle. So whatever trash is in the streets flows into storm sewers and ends up in the river by Thomas Paine's house. All these buildings, they all have somehow tapped into the river in various ways. Sometimes it's their laundry rooms, sometimes it's their basements, but they all have tapped into the river by Thomas Paine's house. You see the garbage bags on the sidewalk there?
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of times they spill, they break open, and the contents comes
Those
out.
garbage bags?
Yeah, the contents comes out and flows down a storm drain into the river. Anything you see on the streets now ultimately gets into the river. And this is just typical of any town. You see the plastic by this garbage over here?
Yeah, look at that.
It all enters the river, typical of any city in the United States. There seems to be more and more trash as we go along on the curbs, depending on the area. A lot of trash overflowing, garbage pails, all ends in the river. You see that manhole there we're going to pass now? That enters into the river. Plastic enters into the river. All that garbage, did you pass that big pile of garbage?
Oh, yeah.
You get it?
Oh, yeah.
All enters into the river. Here comes more garbage. You see on the sidewalk?
Jesus.
Ultimately, it all winds up in that river.
Perfect shot of all that shit on here.
Yeah, it all enters the river.
Wow. Look at the murals.
The hospital has direct connections into that river. That's where a lot of the blood vials and syringes enter it. So we just crossed over Interstate 95, which actually cut the city of New Rochelle in half when it was built. And the sewer connections were all severed, and many of them just went into this through the throughway drain stormwater system, which was illegal, but to save money, many of the connections were just dumped into that drain. More trash on the sidewalks and streets. You see by the storm culvert there, the garbage ready to fall into it? That goes right into Thomas Paine's River.
This sucks, too.
A lot of the drug paraphernalia washes in the same way. You notice along the curb all the filth? Yeah, see the big piles of garbage? A lot of that winds up in the river. And here's what's left of the boatyard. You see all the cars and stuff blocking it? All right, notice the sign. This is my old marina. This is what's left to it. Now, Con Edison argued for 20 years that there was no contamination here. Everything was clean and pristine. And the water the judges were drinking wasn't even as clean as the water that's coming off their site, which used to be over there. You can see how it's all, I had a big building I built over here. This place was full with boats. It's responsible for 3 deaths in my family. And Congress, I told you, gave me tremendous power to bring these people to court, but it didn't give me tremendous funding to do it. I had to do it all with my own money. I spent 2 houses, all my family's money, 30 years, every penny I ever had to try to stop plastic from entering our bodies. They absolutely committed fraud on the courts, telling the courts that there's no problem here, everything is clean. And obviously that was all 30 years ago, and obviously it's still contaminated and nobody's allowed on the property. So they lied and committed fraud on the courts. That channel goes out and it's the beginning of Echo Bay, highly contaminated with PCBs and dioxins. And Thomas Paine's River empties right into this channel and brings with it all the plastic with the PCBs that bind to it wash out into Long Island Sound, ultimately becoming part of the Atlantic Ocean. The eels here are the most contaminated in all the world. Lou Gehrig, the famous baseball player, it was his favorite food. He ate the eels right from this area, and it's what killed him. LMS is attributable to PCB exposure, Lou Gehrig disease. So my lawsuit never got a trial. It was ruled on summary judgments. Ultimately, the judge said, because the site is clean, your lawsuit has no bearing on the case because it's already clean, your property, so there's nothing your lawsuit will do to improve the quality of the water. So I lost this property, and it went to the state of New York because it's water property, and the state of New York basically owns everything that within the tidal area. But legally, the state couldn't own the property because there's deed restrictions because the property is contaminated. So ultimately, the city, Con Edison, got the property from the state of New York because the state of New York legally couldn't own the property and gave it to Con Edison. So this property is now owned by Con Edison because it's so contaminated that the state of New York couldn't own it, and yet I couldn't bring my case to trial because the court said the site is so clean that there's no point in even having this lawsuit. All right, this fence is the Con Edison property that had all the transformers and all the PCBs. All the conduits came through the streets and emptied into this property. And for many, many years, since the 30s, have dumped PCBs into this water body. They blocked the fence so you can't really look down there, but there used to be a big power plant, but they ripped it all down. And you can see remnants of it. There's some steel work still left there that used to hold the transformers. So they did a lot of cleanup, and they dug out the PCBs, some of the PCBs, not all of them.
Smell.
And guess what they did? Instead of taking it to the site to be incinerated once and for all, they dumped it all over Dutchess and Ulster County. This is the old guardhouse. They used to block people from coming in here. They didn't want anybody to see what they were doing and what was going on. But it was a big, like, industrial complex full of transformers. And they used to drain the transformers like you drain your car oil right into Long Island Sound.
That was the guardhouse.
Yeah, it was the guardhouse. Old transformers came here to be rebuilt, and they would drain them right into Long Island Sound. This is the Sutton Manor Association. They were against me. They didn't want to lose their property values. So they got somebody to run as a politician who I helped get elected, who was supposed to help, but then went on Con Edison's side and turned against me. They were afraid of losing their property values. All right, so this is the Sutton Manor houses that abut the Con Edison property also. On the left, all these houses on the left, the Con Edison was right in their backyards, and they have PCBs right in their backyards. Walter Hang said so in his little show. Now, these houses, stay to the left. Yep. A woman by the name of Chris Sellon ran for city council. I helped get her elected, and she was supposed to get to the bottom of it all, and she became an ally of Con Edison. Now they have a little boat dock here where kids swim in the summertime. exposed to the PCBs from the Con Edison site. See the little boat dock? If you want to film it, and we could show Long Island Sound where the water comes out.
Park right over here, buddy.
Yeah, just park here. Maybe I'll have an argument with this guy here. So, this body of water is considered the East Branch of Echo Bay. That's Five Island Park. That area over there, it's a public park. There's boating and swimming here. That is the Westchester County Sewer Treatment Plant, and men fish along that wall and catch poisonous fish. I used to go to many meetings with the Westchester County people about the sewer treatment plant and putting up signs so people wouldn't fish there and catch these toxic fish. The eels, like I said, are the most contaminated in the country. And they said there's no authority that would allow us to put up signs. If the men want to fish, they are allowed to fish. Consequently, they all probably died of cancer. They wouldn't lift a finger to do anything against Con Edison. They wouldn't put up signs, they wouldn't warn people, nothing. Because Con Edison assured them that the site was clean. Yeah, we'll go up the stairs. Make a left here into the marina. We could walk up by the stairs.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they have a whole trail that goes alongside of
All
it.
right.
I think we can get past.
All right, that's all right. We'll get it. We'll do it this way.
Holy shit. This is Echo Bay?
Yeah. The parking lot is closed. Can we get up? Yeah, there's stairs there, right?
Additional park?
Yeah, park anywhere. This is the New Rochelle Municipal Marina, which is right outside the channel that came out of my marina. And if you stop and look at this boat right here, this is what I did in my marina. I built these towers. I had clientele that came from Long Island, New Jersey, virtually everywhere to have this work done. I had a very lucrative business building these things. And they're basically called fishing towers. And it represents what happens and what a big popular attraction is to fish in Long Island Sound. A lot of money is dedicated to it, and what they're eating is PCB contaminated fish. It's one of the reasons plastic gets in us. So there was a 10-year waiting list to keep a boat at this marina. That's how popular it was. And I would get the overflow into my marina for people that couldn't have space for their boats at this marina, that would come to my marina. And it turned out to be a great business. I built a 2-story building. I did quite well the first few years until I realized, I started seeing the animals with the tumors and the mouths in the wrong places, until my family started getting sick, and I realized there were some big issues going on. But this goes to show the popularity of the fishing and the boating in Long Island Sound. And unfortunately, these people are all exposed, as we all are, and have plastic in our bodies. Yeah, some of the towers I built are probably still on these boats. So I learned the welding craft to build these weldless aluminum from my drag racing years, where I would construct drag racing frames, construct them. I had to be certified to do the welding, and it led me into the boat business because it was so lucrative. I couldn't pass it up. I also built gangplanks like this. I had customers that ordered specially built gangplanks. Some wanted them arched, some wanted them, just be made special for their yacht clubs and marinas. So we did a lot of this work at my marina also. Things like this. I lost all that business. I'd spent 40 years in business, and it wound up where we just came from, a toxic property. Isn't it amazing?
It really is.
Yep.
Sad to see what's happening, man.
It's like $100 a foot to keep your boat here. So if you got a 50-foot boat times $100 a foot, and that's just for the summer. I had a girl that did it in my marina. She did start her own business and made a fortune cleaning boats in my marina. Yeah, I subcontracted all the cleaning jobs to her.
Wow.
Yep.
That's huge, man.
She did great. She came with her own supplies, and I didn't have to do nothing. Just let her be. My employees all lost their jobs. The people at work all lost their jobs. All right, so this is a popular fishing area. You can see fishing permits required. And there's the channel coming out of my marina, which is bringing the PCB laced plastic out into this whole area and the sediment and so forth. PCBs and dioxins washing right out through here at this fishing pier. That is Long Island across the way over there. It's a narrow portion of Long Island Sound. I think it's 10 miles across by water. I made the trip many times. I used to come out here at night in the boats. It was great. And this whole area is called Hudson Park. I'm going to walk to the beach. Even this close to the water, there's a storm drain with a soda can and cigarette butt. Cigarette butt certainly will go into the Sound. And got some fishing poles here. I guess they're catching flounder, which is a bottom feeder, which they suck up the mud, which is full of PCBs and dioxins, and they filter out what's good in it, and the rest of it winds up in their fat tissue, and unfortunately the fishermen eat it. Any luck? What are you trying for? Porgies?
Hey Frank, you want to go up there?
Yeah. All right, Nick, I want to take a shot of this sign. So DEC posts this sign warning people about eating the clams from the area. Clams are what they call filter fish. They filter basically all the contaminants that's in the water out of the water. And they warn you not to eat anything like that because DEC knows they're full of PCBs. But they won't tell you that. They'll just tell you don't eat them. And this is Hudson Park Beach. I guess you can't go down there, but there's some tin cans and some plastic. Yeah, if you look over here, this is what the tide just gave up, I guess the last high tide. You see the corner here, Nick? Yeah, see the plastic bags in the water? There hasn't been any storms, but if you come here after a storm, you can't imagine the filth that comes up. There's more bags to your right. I guarantee if you filter through there, there's going to be syringes and stuff like that. You look at any of these debris piles up close to the shore, Nick?
Got you. I want to show the animals going through.
Yeah, she may pick up the plastic bag or whatever, you never know.
He's drinking the water.
All right, let's go over here.
You know what was sad, Frank? Seeing
What?
that seagull drink that water.
Yeah.
Go through it.
All right, Nick. So, this is essentially bits of plastic and filth. I don't know what that is.
That's a jewel pod.
A jewel pod.
From an electric vape.
Okay, so this, I mean, I don't know, hip cigarette butts. There's all kinds of, I saw something from the top. Here, look, caps, bottle caps, papers, little bits of things. Now remember, styrofoam, this is all already absorbed PCBs. Tie wraps. So it's full of PCBs. God knows what this is, a piece of foam, plastic. I mean, and this is just left here at high tide. If this had been a storm, it would be full up to here with plastic crap. So, Nick, 30 years ago, what is this? Look at this. What is that?
It might be something to hold a joint.
Cigarette butts. 30 years ago,
you're whistling.
30 years ago, I brought the lawsuit that would have stopped this. It would have stopped it. But now it's in every one of us. It's in our brains, our kidneys, our livers, our bloodstreams, and in our unborn children. Because it became the beginning of the food chain. Con Edison called me a nutcase. Told everybody I was a nutcase 30 years ago. We could have not have to deal with this. It would have been gone by now. So I just want to remind everybody one more time, buy my book, read about it, read the whole lawsuit, how it started, and all the ramifications involved with this plastic that gets in the oceans before we're all dead because of it. Really it has to be stopped. It should have been stopped 30 years ago. Science is just realizing it now. And scientists to this day don't realize all this plastic is a sponge for PCBs. Look, wherever you look, looks like a part of a balloon.
Down here. Check it out down here. What? Check along all this.
Yeah.
All this piece.
Okay. Wherever, anywhere you walk, here's the and it comes from the streets. Literally anywhere. 20 bags per mile of roadway enters the oceans. So you could call me a nutcase if you want, but science is just realizing that I wasn't a nutcase. Yeah, filth everywhere. And bear in mind, everything you see on this beach originated at my marina, at the storm drain in my marina. This is where it all originated from. And after a storm, you can't imagine the filth.
Look at the pipe.
Yeah. So here it is. I don't care where you look. Plastic in the ocean. You eat it, it's in you. And nothing you're going to ultimately die because of it. It's the placing phytoplankton as the beginning of the food chain. And that's the unfortunate reality of one corporation taking power over our lives. One corporation. Yeah. I mean, everywhere you look, just filth. What is this? God only knows. Well, it all came out of the drain by my marina.
You got a drone by it.
Yeah, look at this, a rubber duck. There used to be signs posted on this railing warning people they may get rashes if they swim in this water. And the rashes were caused by the PCBs. I do have videos and pictures of the signs I could always give you, and you could add them to the film.
Shells.
Yeah. The seagulls drop the shells so they could eat what's inside.
I've seen them do it. They
Yeah.
actually go really high up and drop them.
Drop them and they come down and eat the PCBs that are inside.
Sucks at drinking that water.
Yeah.
See, there's a beer can out there. I got all video of that.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're in a drought, so you got to remember, nothing has been coming out of storm drains because there's a drought. You come here after a thunderstorm, you can't even see the water. It's just covered with filth. Now that we're in a drought for a couple of months, the water, you know, there's nothing coming out of storm drains. And there's still this much stuff. After a thunderstorm or a rainstorm or a hurricane, you can't imagine the crap that finally gets washed in and comes out.
We have to come here.
You'd have to come here after a storm and you wouldn't believe your eyes. I got plenty of videos of that too if we want to add them at some point.
Okay, Frank.
So, I'd like to introduce my friend Nick from Stool Talk. This has been a lonely battle. In the beginning, I had a lot of friends, Sierra Club people, League of Women Voters, Save the Sound, I got many signatures. Many people were on my side initially, and they all got bought off. They all got donations, and now I met up with this fella Nick, who's been documenting my story, and hopefully we'll get the word out there, and we could fix this problem we have with plastic in our bodies. I'm sure none of us want plastic in our bodies or in our kids. And it still may be time to fix it. And hopefully the message will get out there. So Nick, let me thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
I've had very little company on this journey, and you're one of the good guys.
Well, I'm here for you, Frank. You know that.
Thank you.
I'm here for everybody else as well. And if you guys ever need to tell your story or say something or need a voice, I don't have a microphone, so I'm speaking into Frank's. But if you need a voice, if you need anything, contact me, and I will be here for you. And I will give you a voice and be able to present it in a way you would need it to be presented.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching. And please buy Frank's book if you haven't already.
Yeah.
And just stay tuned for more, because there's a lot more to Stool Talk that meets the eye. And I believe you guys are all going to enjoy.
Like the founding fathers said, they gave us the right to free speech. That's what we have. And this is free speech right here. I mean, they're going to come out against us. They're going to say all kinds of stuff, try to stop us any way they can. But it's what we have is from people like Thomas Paine. We have the right of free speech, and they're going to have a hell of a time taking it away from us.
That's right.
Thanks
Thank you
again,
for
Nick.
watching. Of course, Frank. Thank you.